Hello and welcome to Writings from the Hills. My name is Lori. This week I am spotlighting a book called Caney Girl by Florence Castle Eisen. This is a story of a mountain girl in the mining country of Kentucky. I want to thank the Jesse Stewart Foundation for giving us permission to read this book for our program today. And this book is actually the story of Florence Joyce Castle, who was a young lady living in eastern Kentucky during the Depression. And her family couldn't afford an education, like many of the families in the poor regions of Kentucky in our area. So she set out to get one of her very own with the help of a very special woman in a special place. The book is actually based partially on Florence Castle Eisen's life and her time at the Caney Creek Community Center deep in the hills of Kentucky. And there's actually an excellent photo, I don't know if you guys can see it, of the Caney Creek. So chapter 1, and it actually has a map to start off the book. This is Caney Creek Community Center and Company. This is a description of the different areas mentioned. There's Salyersville, Prestonburg, Wayland, Lackey, Garner, Dwarf, Hazard. So there's different ones in the map that's listed. Chapter 1, That Day, Going Up to Caney Creek. I know of no other way to refer to this particular day in my life other than that day. As I sat there on the fallen hickory log, I was oblivious of my surroundings, of the sun that had just popped over the treetops like a great ball of fire shot from a cannon, of the azure sky that was cloudless and loomed like a great blue dome above the earth, of the twittering of the spring birds as they darted from the willow to willow, of the sweet scent of pines as they drifted down from the high mountains to the valley below, fussing with the more dominant smell of the spring blooming honeysuckle that had permeated the countryside. All that I was aware of at the moment was of Earl's old car sitting there all lopsided on the deeply rutted wagon road with one wheel jammed down in the deep rut up to the running board. I watched intently as Earl walked around the car surveying the damage. I lowered my head to hide the tears as he said rather placidly, "Well, I guess that ends our trip for today, axle broken." Zella, who had wanted no part of this trip from the very first, heaved a sigh of relief and agreed. "That just suits me fine. I didn't want to go in the first place." But it did not suit me. Through tears that were blurring my vision, I envisioned the event in my life that had led up to this moment, here on this quiet, lonely country road. As my heart swelled with hurt, almost to the point of bursting, a treasured memory of the past rushed to my thoughts. I had a hazy feeling that time had run together. The past had fused with the present, and I was back in the little crowded schoolroom. It was the day we were going to have a party before being dismissed for the Christmas holidays. Miss Garn was busy working and talking at the same time. "I hope you boys and girls don't mind the slight day in our party." Her hand was busy shaping brightly colored cardboards into little houses as she explained. "I ordered these Christmas boxes from Sears Roebuck, and they just came in today, so I'll just have to fill them with candy now." No one really minded, for as the fire crackled and popped in the big pot-belly stove in the middle of the room, and the snow drifted and swirled down outside, the big Christmas tree decorated with popcorn, cranberries, and homemade decorations gave rise to the Christmas spirit. It was fun to watch the little houses take shape, then be filled with candy from a big wooden bucket on the desk, placed on the blackboard ledge. I knew where the big bucket full of candy came from. It was common knowledge that the company store always let the teachers have it wholesale if it was a treat for the children. I felt sorry for Miss Garland having to buy all that for us, or her to tell a teacher across the hall. My $84 check certainly didn't go far this month, being Christmas and all, but I just had to buy them a treat. That's all some of them will get. Soon 45 bright-colored Christmas houses filled with candy, and the little white strings for handles lined the blackboard ledge. The houses were different Christmas scenes, were red, blue, green, and yellow. I whispered across the aisle to Zella, "I hope I get a bright red one." Zella whispered back, "I hope I get a green one." And where I sat, I could look out across the railroad tracks, beyond the big yellow company store, beyond the yellow soda fountain, and see row after row of yellow company houses. I often looked out across the mining camp and wondered why everything was painted yellow. That's why I wished for the red house. Anything but yellow. Suddenly was brought back from my reverie by Mrs. Garland saying, "Now that's finished. Let's have our party." A little buzz of excitement whispered filled the room as Miss Garland passed out the candy-filled houses. I wasn't too disappointed when I got a green one. That was my second choice anyway. But when Jella whispered, "Want a swap?" I passed over my green one in exchange for the red one. Miss Garland announced, "I have another surprise for you today. Each of you will get another present. This gift is not from me. It is from a little college up Caney Creek known as the Caney Creek Community Center. They want every boy and girl in the mountains to have a nice Christmas, so they send out Christmas presents to them. Hold out your hand as I call your name." She did more explaining about the school and the presents, but I didn't hear it. Perhaps it was because my thoughts were wandering again. I looked out the window, past the railroad tracks lined to the big coal gondolas, past the company store and soda fountain, past the rows of yellow houses to the ball diamond where all the kids went to play on a pretty days after school. A dirt road went past the ball diamond and up into the country as far as the eye could see until it wound out of sight around the bend in the road. All the children had been warned never to go past the ball diamond, never to go up the country road, for once you rounded the bend it was past city limits and became outlaw country. No one but bootleggers and outlaws lived up there. I quickly came to attention and held up my hand when I heard my name called. The room was noisy as the presents got opened, and there was excited voices calling, "Look what I got! Let's see yours!" I saw Sadie Quisenberry, who lived at Mill Creek and had to walk a mile to school, trying on a pair of bright red mittens with embroidered flowers, and I was glad, for the morning had been bitter cold, and Sadie had worn a pair of old socks on her hands to keep them warm. Junebug Satterfield sat right in front of me. He lived way up Martin Branch Hollow, and he had 7 brothers and sisters. He was awful little to be in 4th grade and always looked like he was hungry. I knew that they never did have a Christmas tree at their house, and I smiled happily when I saw him playing with 3 brightly colored dump trucks on his desk. I jumped when Stella exclaimed, "For gosh sakes, Joy, open up yours and quit watching everyone else. Look at mine." I looked at the long box held out by Zella and saw that it contained a bright green fountain pen with little pink rosebuds at the center and said, "Oh, Zella, it's the prettiest one I ever saw." When I started to open mine, I saw written on a small card attached to it, "To Florence Joyce Castle, girl, age 10, 4th grade. Merry Christmas from the Caney Creek Community Center, Pappas, Kentucky." I removed the tag and slowly lifted the top off the long, slim box and simply stared at its contents. I closed my eyes for a moment and then opened them again. It was still there. I glanced quickly in front of the room, thinking that perhaps a mistake had been made, but the reassuring smile of Miss Garland told me it was no mistake. Gently I lifted my present from the box, the most beautiful china doll I had ever seen. I let my eyes linger over her delicately painted features of the glazed face, the ebony black hair, the green satin dress that swept down to the tiny pointed slippers, as ebony black and shiny as the hair. Lovingly holding my doll out to Zella, I cried, "Did you ever see anything so pretty in all your life?" Well, if you would like to read more about Caney Girl, you can check this out by going to our website at www.briggslibrary.com or call any of our locations to request a copy. And again, I want to thank the Jessie Stewart Foundation for giving us permission to read this book for our program. And I will see you next time. So long.